Great stuff. So this, well, thanks everyone for tuning in today. It's great to see so many people registered. So I'm going to, it really follows on very nicely actually from the presentations we've already seen. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can use a virtual field sort of trip, jolly, whatever we want to call it, as part of an assessment. So it's for a particular module. So we're going to do a little bit of an intro to start with to give you some background and how it works and stuff, and then we're going to let you loose hopefully on the virtual site and let you have a look around. So let me scroll through. Okay, so this is a field trip that is done for a final year module. It's been renamed, so it's a module I've actually talked about before at this conference in a different kind of way. It's morphed into a different module now called Conservation Theory and Practice. It's as I say, it's final year module, so we want to really challenge the students. It's not like an introductory field course where we're giving them skills and things like that. They should have all that in place. It's quite a big course. Last year I had 100 students on it. We're expecting about the same this year, I would imagine. And they come from a huge variety of backgrounds. So we have bioscientists, we have environmental scientists, we have geographers, we have planners, we have human geographers. So it's a big range of backgrounds. We can't assume some things, particularly knowledge, although they will get some of that with the lecture material. So the assessment for this module is a single piece of assessment, and it's a 5,000 word management plan for a SSSI or a nature reserve of the student's choice. Now, what normally happens is that we do a trip that I do in the local area and just get them to do a very simple site assessment. And then they would normally choose a site that they're familiar with. So it could be one that's near their home that they go out and do things for. The module used to run in semester 1, which is why I did this mad panic of trying to do this, but they've just moved it into semester 2, which has given me a bit of breathing space, which I'm very happy about. And it also works better for the ecology. So no more trying to identify things in November. So the key part of this is that the module, the assessment criteria includes the requirement for students to go out and do a site assessment. So they're supposed to go to the site and look at the ecology of the site, focused on a particular species or habitat, looking at, you know, what species are there, whether there's any management there, what the sort of key threats are to the species and habitats, and then also looking at things like human infrastructure and how humans are interacting with that space. So it does have, you know, a kind of conservation as ecology and human nature relationships, and it allows students to pick a kind of focus that matches their course. So human geographers often focus on the kind of human nature relationship, and the bioscientists often focus on things like genetic conservation. And then they're supposed to use that within their management plan. So it's part of the assessment criteria. So as soon as COVID hit, I was thinking, okay, it's fine for this year, they've all done it. What about next year? Because it did, I'm quite a pessimistic person, and so when it hit, I was like, right, that's us for two or 3 years. It's not going to be normal. So I was immediately thinking, what can I do next year if we're teaching virtually, if students are not able to move around as much, if some students don't have access to a SSSI or a nature reserve, if they're stuck in a flat in the middle of a city, what are they going to be able to do? What if they're ill? So I was thinking, what can we put in place in case? And I was thinking, okay, and also I'm not going to be able to do might not be able to do my guided site visit. So that's where I was kind of coming from. I was thinking, what can we do? So can I replicate that student visit online? Okay, so remember that the students, it's not me going out with them and telling them what to look for. They're supposed to be doing this independently. So I need to be able to, they need to be able to just go and look round. So I need to provide enough detail, but without really giving them the answers. So it was really quite difficult. In fact, it's more difficult to do that because it's easier to kind of guide them a lot. So I'll be interested to see what you think of what we've come up with. And of course, the students are expected to do loads of online research and things as well. If they end up using this one, the students can still do the original idea of going out and stuff if they're able to. Okay, so I'll move on swiftly. So this is what we've come up with, and it really is a work in progress. So I really would like some feedback on what you think of it so far. It's definitely not a finished product at all. So I'm going to pass to Joe to tell us a little bit about the technology and how we did it as such before we let you loose. So Joe, do you want to take control?
Yeah, sure. So thanks, Lesley. So my name is Joe Berry. I work in HEFI, which is the Higher Education Future Institute. So we cover kind of digital education. It is a big part of what we do. And so we work in collaboration with lecturers like Lesley to build these kind of technologies. And Lesley and I have been on a couple of field trips together using some of these techniques. So we've sort of refined things down over the years and how we can capture this stuff, but also to build a resource afterwards. And a couple of speakers earlier were saying how long it takes to kind of put these resources together. It's a real issue, particularly got a lot of video. So it's kind of two parts to a technology really. The first part is the actual kit you take out with you in the field. So this needs to be lightweight. I'm just going to share in the chat a shot of the kit we took out there, because the first time we tried to do this, we took a lot of very heavy duty technology, which I ended up lugging around up a mountain, and it was quite hard work. So we've sort of, I'm just uploading a photo there of the kit we take now. So it's just one backpack, and most of what I'm not sure if that's gone. Can people see that? There we go. So the key to it really, A is a decent smartphone with a decent camera on it, and ideally a microphone which can plug into that smartphone. You can just use the microphone on your smartphone to capture fairly good audio these days, and the imagery on smartphones, especially high-end ones, is great. So we just use an iPhone to get the still images and the videos, and also the audio. We did take a little mic that you can plug in, and also that you can get these little cradles. You can just about see it in the image there in the chat, where you kind of clamp your iPhone inside this little cradle, which lets you hold it with one hand more easily. And also you can put a little microphone on top, which plugs into the microphone port of your phone. So that's just a very simple way of getting quite good quality imagery. The second part of the kit was the GoPro Fusion camera, which is a 360 camera. Which again, if you're looking for a chat image, it's that thing in the middle, the kind of square thing. I'll just show you an image of what that looks like when we're actually using it. And this is kind of, it's not complicated to use, I wouldn't say, but it's something you to play with a little bit. So the way it works is you put it on a tripod in the center of the scene you want to capture. There's an app on your smartphone which triggers it to take a photo. And it'll take a 360 view all around. Let's send that one now. So it takes a bit of playing with to get up and running, but once you do get up and running, it's fairly straightforward. One thing you might see when you're going through the tour is that we were trying to hide from the 360 view. So if you look carefully, you might see people hiding behind trees at various places throughout this virtual tour. You can edit people out afterwards using photo imaging software, but we're trying to reduce the amount of post-production work on this all the way through. So just a few tricks to make things easy for yourself later on. And so once you've captured your images, your 360s and your videos, everything you need on the field trip, and we'd always say take more photos than you think you're going to need, because it's obviously very hard to get back out again to capture extra bits and pieces. The second bit, which is really a really great discovery I think, is this piece of software called ThingLink, which is a free hosted service. And we've used it for 360 images. So you can upload 360 images and then put hotspots within there, which can be further images. So this photo you've got on the screen there of the forest, the red image of the top left, you click that and you'll get a close-up of that tree. So again, someone was saying earlier, one of the problems with the imagery you can get online is it's not high definition enough to identify anything. This is our way of getting around that. But really, the benefit of ThingLink is it's very easy to use to put information in there. So when Lesley and I work together, we kind of we take the imagery on site, the 360 stuff, we put it in ThingLink, and then Lesley goes in and adds in the photos and the text she needs. So that way, it really speeds up the production of this thing. Obviously, you've got to accept limitations of what ThingLink can do, but if you work within those, it's very simple to use. And the final piece of the jigsaw is embedding this tour within Canvas, our virtual learning environment. And the benefit of that is that you can give some more context to the students and instructions and things like that. So ThingLink is a very visual resource, which is great. It's not so good for displaying kind of, I guess, instructions and structure. So we use Canvas as a wrapper to provide that context, and then we embed the tour within that. And hopefully that's what we're going to show you next. Lesley, just hold hand back to you to do the next slide, if that's okay.
Okay, so yeah, so that's a little bit of the tech stuff. So as I say, it's a work in progress. So what we're going to do is just let you loose for 5 minutes as we in the run up to coffee, and just feel free to browse around. Some areas are a little bit more developed than others. There are different little symbols which hopefully are fairly self-explanatory. I have tried to do some audio, which I might have to redo because it wasn't that great, but you know, have a listen and a look and see what you think so far. Do remember that the students are not being guided on this, that it's a self-guided thing. So we'll let you click through. If anyone's having problems, let us know, but it should work okay. And we'll see you back here in about 5 minutes time, or 4 or 5 minutes time, and do chat in the chat box and let us know some thoughts. Off you go.
Super. Thank you very much, everyone. So hopefully you can click on the link and disappear, and we'll come back. We'll come back at 11, and then if you want to keep exploring, you can keep exploring your coffee break. But we'll come back at 11 for a few minutes. So disperse. I think there were some questions, but it looks like you've been answering them as you go. People were asking, for those who can't see the chat box, worried about running out of free views. And Joe, you'd responded saying that you have an institutional license, which is about £800 a year.
That's right. Yeah. And it seems to be they seem to be fairly relaxed about the usage. To be honest, we've not come close to hitting any limits on the usage.
Right.
You can also use it with students, so students can create their own tours based on your photographs or your imagery as well, which is something we haven't explored yet, but that's quite an interesting idea, that they could add their own hotspots in, depending on what they identify.
Yeah, that's a nice idea, isn't it, that people could add, so that the resource develops over time as people.
Can I ask you something, Joe?
Yeah, sure.
I ride a horse, and I've been doing bird surveys from horseback using a GoPro.
Okay.
Is that good enough to hear bird song, do you think? What kind of software would pick up bird song?
That's a good question. So we've only just, I mean, Lesley might want to comment on this as well. We've only just started looking at this, the kind of audioscapes, if you like, because one of the pedagogical thoughts behind using the 360s is it's more immersive. And so you get more of an experiential, it's more experiential, so you kind of feel like you're there to some extent. You can also use ThingLink with Google Cardboard virtual reality glasses, so you can actually look in it and look around the space, which is a really useful sort of side benefit really of using ThingLink. But yeah, that idea of embedding the sounds within is something I'm really interested in trying. We haven't quite got there yet, but one thing we were thinking of using was there's a type of microphone called something like binaural microphones, which basically you wear them over your ears. There's one on each side, and it picks up the sound on either side. So as you walk around and look around, it's supposed to pick up directional sound. But they do just plug into an iPhone as well. I think it's just like a stereo recording. So that might be something to look at. Binaural, I think they're called.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I did do some audio recordings which you can listen to on the course. I literally just went out with my phone and just used the voice recorder. And actually, in the woodlands, because it was really quite quiet, it did pick up the bird song quite well. I'm not sure whether you would be able to. I think some you might be able to identify using that. But it was okay. But I think we probably need to look into that a bit more, because I would like to be able to get this proper soundscape. Because one of the things I worry about with trying to not replace it, but for some students it might be a replacement, is losing that sound, that feel, that smell that you don't get from being outside, which are often important for ID purposes.
Yeah, thank you.
I've been talking away and I've been on mute, haven't I? Sorry, I was just going to say, so it's 11 o'clock, so if people are back and have any questions, please, we'll just have a couple of minutes for that. I'm sure people haven't managed to explore extensively yet because it's quite extensive. So Nick says, do you have plans to go back at different times of the year to record the changing landscape?
Yes, it's certainly for the photos. We hadn't planned to do anything with the 360 stuff. Joe and I might discuss that, but with the photos themselves, I've tried to put in some photos from different times of the year. So in the woodland, there are some photos of the bluebells that were out in May. This is when I was starting to think about this, and I'm going to go out again over the autumn to get some of the changing seasons and over the winter. And that is an advantage because the students before were having to go out in November and getting this one perception of the site which was just not representative at all. So that is a definite yes to that.
Yeah, it's something we're trying actually at the Winterbourne Botanical Gardens in the university, trying to get that through the seasons idea. The challenge is getting the camera in exactly the same spot when you come back 6 months later and it's covered in snow. So that's to try and get exactly the same view around you. But yeah, it's a really nice idea.
And there's another question about audio in the virtual tours. Jonathan Green says, is there audio?
Yeah, so we've put a few. I've just started trying to do this, so there's only audio in about 5 of the locations, but there's a little red symbol with a microphone, and that if you press on, you should get a little soundscape. They're not brilliant, but it's a start. So we're playing around with that at the moment. Yeah.
And Wendy asks, I think it's Wendy asks, how does this integrate into Canvas?
Yeah, so we just use an iframe at the moment to embed it. It's just available as a link from the ThingLink website, but they have an embed code thing which you can generate, and then you can just drop that into a Canvas page. I believe there is an actual Canvas integration, a deeper Canvas integration, but I haven't played with that yet. I'm not sure what more it would do, but yeah, iframe is the way we do it.
All right. Well, it's a little bit after 11, so we might let people go and get a cup of tea. and just have a bit of a stretch, because we know how tiring online conferences can be. Lesley and Joe, you were keen for feedback. How would you like to receive that feedback?
Well, we've got some comments in the chat, which is really helpful. So I was going to put together a little quiz, but obviously I haven't got around to that. So actually, it would be great if once people have had a little look round, either they put some more comments in the chat, because we're going to be saving that, or you can drop us an email. That'd be fantastic. I'll just put my email here so that people have it.
Great. So I think we might draw this session 1 to a conclusion. I was just going to suggest everyone turn their microphone on and give our speakers and presenters a round of applause. I've no idea how it will work, but let's give it a go. And then marvelous. So if we can see you back here at 11:30 for session 2. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.